Well, I'm now joined by Naji El-Arifi, who is Head of Innovations at Salmon. You've now joined both of us. Thanks very much indeed. Naji, we're going to look, I suppose, at the balance of online and offline. Let me start with you. Many have really been saying for a while that the future of retail does lie in a mix of online and offline. Do you think this actually has accelerated the death of single-channel retail?
I think definitely it was inevitable in the end, but I think what's happened now, especially with Amazon's move with Amazon Go, with the technology of being able to bring an effortless experience in store, if they were to then roll that out across all of Whole Foods, suddenly you've got this extremely fantastic customer experience when going into a store. And I think that's something that a lot of brands need to now jump on board and start to understand that technology really needs to be integrated efficiently and effectively into the customer journey.
Many people are saying that Go is a figment of imagination. You know, it's one of these typical tech companies' announcements that has no substance behind it. Is it real?
I think so, definitely. I mean, when the way to do it right, I think, was with Amazon Go, where the technology is kind of hidden in the background. You have no idea the amount of technology that goes into tracking someone they walk into a store and knowing what item they've picked up, and then allowing them to just leave and have it paid effortlessly. I think that's the key bit. I think a lot of people are kind of trying to put technology in for technology's sake. But again, like we've heard earlier, Amazon extremely focused on the customer and making sure that it's right for them. And I think that's the key difference here.
Now, you both work for some of the biggest, brightest, most successful retailers on the planet. How have they reacted to the news in general?
I think a lot of them are still kind of processing it, trying to understand, well, what does that mean for me? I think the biggest thing is Amazon's almost always been this kind of friend or foe. You know, do we work with them, do we not work with them? And I think this is probably the largest explosion of knowledge of, well, they're really coming for you. How are you going to work with them? So brands, I think, really need to think hard about their strategy with Amazon. Do they want to work alongside them? Or, you know, are they going to take the longer view of in 10, 15 years' time, do I want to have the customer data? Because in the end, when, you know, AI becomes really effective and it's all about gathering as much data as possible, do I want Amazon to be taking all of my customer data? Or do I want to be holding on to that so I can deliver a better experience to my customers?
And Malcolm, from your perspective, what have your clients been saying, reacting? The phone's been hot, or?
The phone, when it comes to Amazon, it's always ringing red hot, because there's not a day goes by they're not doing something that's disruptive or innovative. But it's very important to really sort of recognise that Amazon is a disruptor. They will continue to be, because primarily they are a tech company. But what's incredibly important is that a lot of that technology they do is not necessarily, they're not going to open up hundreds and hundreds of Amazon Go stores, but it's white labelling that technology and allowing others to use it, and how they can install that in Whole Foods, for example, to provide that seamless, frictionless experience that consumers have come to expect, because ultimately consumers see and shop the brand, not the channel, and they expect that seamless experience from them when they do.
Now, given how innovative Amazon are, and probably, you know, how advanced they are, not just in technology but also in the amount of time they've been doing it, I mean, is it possible to out-innovate Amazon in your web strategy?
I think it definitely is. I think the key thing here, though, is partnerships. So you're going to have to be willing to work with other companies and other startups to try and bring that technology into your own brand. I think if you were to go off and try to go head-to-head with them and start to hire, thousands of engineers for you to do that, then, you know, good luck. But I think the easiest way and the quickest way to do that is to go off, talk to startups, talk to different companies out there, and really start to understand what you could learn from them and apply to your own business. That's something that Amazon probably won't do. They'll go for the proprietary, or they'll start to acquire companies. So I think that's where the advantage is.
Now, I know both of you are keen students of Amazon, as we all are learning to be. Malcolm, first of all, what has Amazon taught you?
Well, Amazon's taught me that it comes down to never be afraid to innovate, never be afraid to sort of fail fast, and really, it's not forsaking profits. It's about long term. It's about thinking the long term, and also adopting that customer-centric approach. If you build everything around what the customer wants, then it's hard to fail.
Naji?
Almost identical. I think the main thing really is that long-term strategy. They really look at things not in like a 5-year, 2-year strategy kind of thing. They're thinking extremely long-term, and we're talking probably 20 years. I wouldn't be surprised if Jeff Bezos is thinking even longer than that.
But it's very difficult to have that type of a conversation with a retailer, isn't it? his horizon is sometimes not more than the next quarter results.
Which it's true, and I think that's what, say for example, the innovation team at Salmon, we're trying to do. We're trying to force that knowledge onto our clients, kind of say, look, this is what's happening in the future. You need to start planning for it. Even if you don't do anything about it now, just understand what's coming and start to think about just spending a little bit of time understanding that and trying to plan that in, because it becomes a lot easier for you to pivot if you know that the pivot is potentially going to come.
And we are seeing already retailers are reacting, especially in 1 hour delivery or speedy delivery. Yeah. So it's causing a lot of disruption, and retailers are getting a lot quicker in how they react, but also seeking more innovative ways of partnering with tech providers and Amazon to not go head to head with them, but work with them.
Now finally, what advice would you give retailers now and as to how to accelerate that sort of link between the physical and the virtuals, because clearly Amazon has raised the stakes significantly higher?
Yes, I think the main thing here is that you still see it in some brands where they've pretty much siloed out online and in-store. And I think that's completely going to break down and not work at all. You really need to be thinking extremely customer focused and understand that those two things need to be under the same umbrella. They need to be working together so that every single customer can, if they want, start online, shop in store, maybe go back online and purchase, or myself, I like to go in store and then usually I'll go home and then I'll buy online. And you need to be able to allow people to go in and out of the customer journey at any point and understand that if you do that, suddenly you've opened up the customer journey to a lot more people and deliver a much better customer experience as well.
What would you say to your sort of consumers, customers, about the significance of this potential takeover, and what they should be doing differently now than they were maybe thinking about in their 5-year plan?
I think digital is core. Digital is going to be extremely core to your operations, I think, and that's going to be seen because now you've got Amazon suddenly having 430 odd new distribution centers in locations where Prime members are of a higher percentage, so they're going to be delivering a really good digital experience, and I think that's going to be that key bit. Really make sure that digital is core to your experience and that's where everyone starts their journey.
Malcolm.
Because
I think again the path to purchase is becoming incredibly complex. It's something we know, but there's one constant throughout that whole journey, and that's to mobile. So it's building solutions around the technology consumers are using or want to use, but also dipping the toe in the next wave, which is going to be about voice commerce, and understanding that that's how people want to engage and interact in the most natural way, and leveraging the marketplaces, the intermediaries, and those new tech disruptors and those startups.
Well, Malcolm, Naji, thanks very much indeed for joining us.
thank you.